From the book by Anastasia Novych, Sensei of Shambhala, Ancient Spiritual Practice, Lotus Flower. This spiritual practice is called Lotus Flower. It consists in the following. A person imagines that he plants a lotus seed inside himself in the solar plexus area. And this small seed grows in him owing to the power of love generated by his positive thoughts. Thus, controlling the growth of this flower, he artificially gets rid of negative thoughts that are constantly spinning in his head. Do we really think about negative things all the time? Ruslan asked. Of course, Sensei answered. Just observe yourselves carefully. A person devotes a lot of time to visualizing different conflict situations, recalling something negative from the past, imagining how he quarrels with someone, proves something to someone, how he deceives someone or hits back. He thinks of his illnesses, his material deprivation, and so on. It means he always keeps a negative way of thinking. Whereas by doing this practice, a person intentionally, under internal control, gets rid of all these negative thoughts. And the more he keeps a positive way of thinking, the quicker his seed of love grows in him. In the beginning, a person imagines that the seed starts growing and a small stalk appears. Then it begins to grow. Leaves appear on the stalk. Then a small flower bud appears. And finally, by nourishing it more and more with the power of love, the bud blossoms out into a lotus. At first, the lotus is of a golden color, but as it grows, it becomes dazzling white. How much time does it take it to grow? I asked. Actually, it's different for every person. Some people need years for it to grow. Others need months. The third ones need days, while the fourth ones will need just moments. It all depends on a person's desire and the effort he makes. It is necessary not only to grow this flower, but also to support it constantly with the power of your love, so that it doesn't wither or perish. This constant feeling of growth should be held at the level of your subconsciousness, or to be more precise, at the level of controllable remote consciousness. The more love you give to this little flower, the more you cherish it in your thoughts, take care of it, and protect it from surrounding negative influence, the more the flower grows. This flower is nourished on the energy of love. I emphasize on the inner energy of love. And the more a person is in the state of love for the whole world, for everyone and everything around him, the bigger the flower becomes. Whereas if he starts getting angry, the flower gets weaker. If he yields to rage, the flower withers and becomes ill. Then it is necessary to do one's best to restore it. It is a kind of control. Thus, when this flower blossoms and starts to increase in size, it starts emitting vibrations instead of a scent, the so-called leptons or gravitons. Call them as you like. That is the energy of love. A person feels the moving petals of this flower that bring vibrations to his whole body, to all the space around him, emanating love and harmony into the world. Is this felt at the physical level in any way? Eugen asked. Yes, The lotus can be felt as a kind of burning in the solar plexus area, as a spreading warmth. That is, these sensations arise in the solar plexus area, where, as legends say, our soul is located. From this area, warmth begins to radiate. The whole point is that wherever you are, whoever you are with, or whatever you do or think, you should always feel this warmth, this heat that warms not only your body, but also your soul. This internal concentration of love is located in the flower itself. Eventually, the more you take care of it and glorify this love, the more you feel that as this flower expands, it surrounds your body with its petals entirely, and you are inside of a huge lotus. And then a very important thing happens. When you reach the stage when lotus petals surround you from all sides, you feel two flowers. One is inside under your heart that warms you all the time with the feeling of inner love. Another one, the bigger one, is like an astral shell of this flower that surrounds you. On the one hand, it emanates the vibration of love into the world, and on the other hand, it protects you from the negative influence of other people. Thus, the cause and effect law works. Speaking the language of physics, there is a wave connection. To put it simply, you emanate waves of the good, intensifying them through your soul manifold and thus creating a blissful wave field. This force field that you constantly feel and support with every fiber of your love, at the same time positively influences not only yourself, but also the surrounding world. What happens owing to everyday practice? First, you constantly control your thoughts, learning to concentrate on positive things. Therefore, you're automatically unable to wish bad things to anyone or to be bad, because this practice is done every day and every second. It is for the whole life. It is some kind of a distraction method, as nobody can fight with negative thoughts by force. Love cannot be forced. Therefore, you should distract yourselves. If a negative or undesirable thought comes, you concentrate on your flower and start giving your love to it. That is, you artificially forget everything negative. Or you switch your attention to something else, to something positive. But you feel the flower all the time, going to bed, getting up, at night, during the day, whatever you do, when studying, working, doing sports, and so on. You feel how love flares up inside, how currents of love are moving in your chest and filling your body. You feel how this flower starts heating you up inside with a special warmth, the divine warmth of love. And the more you give it, the more love emerges inside of you. Constantly emanating this love, you already perceive people from the perspective of love. So secondly, what is very important is that you tune yourself to the frequency of the good, because the wisdom of life awakens in you. And thirdly, and most importantly, your soul awakens within you. And you start feeling that you are a human. you come to understand what God is, that God is an omnipresent substance. You start feeling the divine presence in yourself and strengthen this power with your positive thoughts and feelings. You no longer feel alone in this world because God is in you, and with you, you feel His real presence. There is an expression: he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him, for God is love. It is also very important that you start feeling the aura of the flower that is inside and outside of you. How is this aura felt around the body? Stas asked. With the lapse of time, you see this vibration around you as a slight glow. The air seems to become brighter and more transparent, and the surrounding world turns more intensive in its colors. The most fascinating thing is that people start noticing these transformations in you. There is a common expression: a person glows, shines. That actually means the glow of this wave field, generated by the love of a person himself. People around him also start feeling this field. They are glad when this human is near, as they also start feeling joy and inner excitement. Everyone reaches out for this person, opening their souls to him. This means that people feel love. This is an open gate of the heart towards God. This is what all the great souls said, and what Jesus meant when he said, "Open your heart to God." This spiritual practice of lotus has been used since time immemorial. Since olden times, it was said that lotus begets gods, that God awakens in the lotus. That is, in the understanding that a divine essence, a soul, awakens in the lotus flower in harmony and love inside of you. You should always take care of your flower, constantly controlling your thoughts and feelings, so that the lotus flower does not fade. Is a real flower actually growing there? Slava asked with surprise. No, a material flower does not exist there, of course. It is imaginary. This process may be described in a different way: the awakening of divine love, the reaching of enlightenment, full unity with God, moksha, dawa, shinta. Call it what you like, but all of this is just words and religion, while in fact, it means that you create with your positive thoughts and feelings of love a certain force field that on the one hand influences the reality around you, and on the other hand changes the internal frequency of the perception of your mind. You have said that this practice is very ancient. How old is it? I have already told you that it has existed as long as people have existed as conscious subjects. Well, how long? 7,000-10,000 years ago? You are taking a too short period of time. Mankind, in its civilized form, has existed before more than once, with much better technologies than now. Another thing is why the civilizations disappeared. But if this practice is so ancient, there should be at least some legends about it in our civilization. Certainly, the fact that the spiritual practice of the lotus flower has existed in the past may be proven by various ancient sources. The lotus was given, for example, to some pharaohs of ancient Egypt, and if you look for the literature on this topic, you will find evidence that Egyptian myths and legends say that even their sun god Ra was born out of a lotus flower. This flower served as a throne for Isis, Horus, and Osiris. In the ancient Vedas, the oldest Hindu books written in Sanskrit, the lotus is also one of the central themes. In particular, regarding the three principal male incarnations of God, Brahma creator, Vishnu protector, and Shiva destroyer, the following is also mentioned. The body of the god Vishnu bore a giant golden lotus with lotus-born Brahma creator on it. The golden thousand-petaled lotus was growing, and the universe followed it growing. In China and India, this flower still embodies purity and chastity. People associated the best human qualities and aspirations with the lotus. In China, they believe that there is a special Western heaven with a lotus lake, and that every flower growing there is bound to the soul of a dead person. If an individual was virtuous, his flower blossoms out, otherwise, the flower fades. In Greece, the lotus was considered to be a plant devoted to the goddess Hera. Hercules made one of his voyages in a lotus-shaped golden sun boat. However, all these legends and myths are not so much made up by people. These stories were based on real facts of people's self-development with this ancient spiritual practice. It's just that earlier, when the animal nature prevailed in most people, the lotus flower was given only to chosen ones, to more or less spiritually mature individuals. It is natural that other people later regarded these individuals as gods, because a person with a grown lotus who has awakened soul in himself really becomes godlike, as he creates in love just by his thought. When it was time to spiritually educate most of the people, the bodhisattvas of Shambhala gave this spiritual practice to Buddha. It is owing to practicing this technique of the lotus that Siddhārtha Gautama attained enlightenment, sitting under the Bodhi tree. With the permission of Rigdan, Buddha gave it to his disciples for further spreading among people. Unfortunately, over time, people destroyed the teachings of Buddha and created a whole religion based on this practice. It resulted in a situation when even Buddhists professing their religion now imagine their paradise as an unusual place where people are born like gods in a lotus flower. They are looking for this place, although it is always inside of them. They made a god of Buddha, even though he was just a human who had known the truth owing to this spiritual practice. That's why a lotus became the symbol of Buddhism, and also an expression appeared: Buddha sits in a lotus, or Buddha stands in a lotus. He has simply shown to people by his example what a person can reach by defeating his animal nature. He really did a lot of useful things for the spiritual development of humankind by spreading the spiritual practice among people in its original form. A similar prayer was given by Jesus Christ to awaken the divine love. In general, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, and all the great ones knew this spiritual practice as they used the same source. It helped them not only to become themselves, but also to help other people explore their divine nature. Why was it so pleasant for everyone to be near Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad? Why is it said that holy people shine? Why are we sometimes unwilling to leave complete strangers on meeting them? Because they emanate this love. Because they always strengthen this power. The power of the good, the power of love, the power of this divine manifestation in a human. People say about such individuals that God is in them. And this is true. So does it mean that you should just think with love about this flower? Andrew asked. No, you should not just concentrate yourself and think of it, but you most importantly provoke this feeling of warmth in the solar plexus area and constantly support it with your positive thoughts. Many people might not succeed at once, because you should get to the bottom of it all. Imagine it more realistically, and I repeat, provoke all these sensations. Why do I focus your attention on this? Because when a person provokes these sensations, he starts supporting them not just with his mind, but also at the level of his subconsciousness. This leads to awakening of the soul. It just cannot help but awaken. And the more love you share with it, the more it will awaken. And the faster you will become yourself, the one who you are inside eternally, and not in your external mortal body shell. After keeping silent for a while, Sensei added, "Life is too short, and you need to use the time to glorify the spiritual essence in your heart."